Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would please call roll.
Barron?
Yes.
Sorry. Bilski?
Yes.
Braverman? Klein?
Present.
Fluter?
Yes.
Perry? Here. Duber?
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the first video-recorded Orange Village Council meeting. You do that dance, Ms. Cluter. Oh, hi. Say hi to the camera up there.
I'm looking
Where is this being televised?
Fox News.
MSNBC, CNN.
Yeah, there's, what is it, Facebook Live? No, Facebook something.
It goes to YouTube, and then from YouTube, then I'll link it to Facebook.
How about on our website?
It's not live, it'll be posted like the next. It's
Live on YouTube right now, but then Facebook, I'll have to link it to Facebook.
Will you do me a favor? Will you send out an email to everybody on council with just like the links and how it works or whatever?
I can look it up right now and see.
And Anna,
Do it.
can't we post them, link to them on our website?
The links, yeah.
We need a green room.
Load it onto the website.
Hair and makeup.
Anna?
Is it or isn't it?
Anna, we're not streaming?
Is Facebook, well, I think it's streaming on YouTube.
There's a
Yeah, there's-
YouTube Live.
Okay.
Live on YouTube, and then I think they can download it onto Facebook, and then we can figure out a way to put a link also on the website.
That'll be nice. Cool. Very good.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting of August 8th, 2018?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments? Okay, not, if you could please call roll.
Barron?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Klein?
Aye.
Fluter?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes. Can I have a motion to award the contract for street? I apologize, I missed the public hearing. We're going to open for the public hearing, an ordinance granting certain variances to Dennis P. and Kathy M. Gritton for an accessory building to be located at 31599 Miles Road, Orange Village. Public hearing's open. Is there anybody who'd like to make a comment on that? Oh, yes. You're good with it?
I'm definitely good.
All right, any other comments? All right, we will close the public hearing. Moving on to motion, can I have a motion to award the contract for street striping for 2018 to JD Striping and Service, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $15,185.85. Thank you. Is there
Second.
Thank you. Do you want to, Mr. Zugan, do you want to discuss?
Well, I just thought we ought to have some explanation from you. You handled it, right?
Every year we put out a street striping program. This year we, as we do every year, went around, reviewed all the streets. We went out for 3 bids, only 2 participated. My next one was about over $3,000 higher. So JD Striping has done work for us numerous times and recommended moving forward with JD Striping.
All right, thank you.
The entire community?
It says it on the memo there that there's, what, 19 roads with center line, 19 roads with edge line, and 2 roads with lane line.
We do all the in-house stop bars, crosswalks, arrows, onlys. They do all the long line.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm watching us.
Lovely. Okay, if you would please call roll.
Barron? Yes. Bilski?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Fluter?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes. Can I have a motion to authorize the mayor to expend up to $50,000 for emergency repair of a water main break on Miles Road by Trimore Construction, utilizing the rates authorized under a publicly bid contract of the city of Solon for emergency repairs, with the expectation that the village will be reimbursed by the city of Cleveland pursuant to the water service agreement between the city and the village? I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mayor, this is the same one that's broke several times, isn't it?
No, with different spots. Is this a repeat spot?
I thought this one happened a couple years ago.
Recently, last year. Last year or this year?
This is repetitive.
It's been the same water main, different locations. We've had a number of them, which have stretched from Naaman Parkway all the way up to Miles Market. Miles Road has two water main systems on it. There's a 12-inch one that runs on Solon side, and that's the one that typically serves your developments and stuff like that into Orange Village. So the Village of Orange, Stonebrook, Orange Hill, all that come from the 12-inch. Then there's a high-pressure transmission line which sits on our side, which is a lot deeper. The one that keeps breaking is the 12-inch one, and it's done it a number of times. Myself and the engineer talked. I think we estimated the age out somewhere, 50, 60 years. Yes, it's reoccurring. It's been discussed with Solon before. We will seek reimbursement again from Cleveland Water Department. They have reimbursed the village on the last couple ones. The last one, which we just had about 2 months ago, I think it was in mid-July, we put in for a reimbursement of $13,343. We have not received that funds yet. I was left a message tonight by Alex Margavicius with Cleveland Water, and we'll be moving forward with discussions on that. The issue with Cleveland Water is, by law, all they have to do is repair an 8x6 area. They're basically responsible for the area above their water main that breaks. So over the years, we have expressed our concerns because the water main being in somebody else's town and creating the damage to our road. Steve might be able to comment more on it, but
I think
what impacts it is that we are under the water service agreement and the city of Solon is not. So there's also stuff that sort of falls into place there. If the water service was on our side, Cleveland Water would come fix it, and they would probably be more likely to fix a larger area. But the water main being in Solon breaking there, we're sort of out to dry, so to speak. We will definitely apply again to get reimbursed for this, and I will be engaging in more conversation at bare minimum with myself, the mayor, and probably Alex to see where, in what direction we're going.
And I'm sure he won't learn about it watching it on TV. I do have every expectation. I haven't brought this up to the mayor of Solon because we've been reimbursed by the Cleveland Water Department every time. So if there's a bug with that and there's a hiccup, there's another level of negotiation that I think needs to take place. It's their water line imposing on our road, and I don't think we should be holding back on paying the repairs of our road.
I think there's an over,
But so to this point, we haven't had to. We've been reimbursed. But I think the water department's getting frustrated too, but Solon hasn't joined.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Did you say that the 12-inch line is on the Solon side of the road?
Yes. Correct.
So it's on their side of it?
Yeah.
That's correct.
But the water flows to our side of the road.
That's correct.
Is there a long-term fix?
But I would be,
Join the water agreement so that the Cleveland Water Department will come out and replace it, or they have to pay to replace it.
and I can certainly understand that philosophy. I guess the question that we would be talking to Cleveland Water and how our water service agreement takes place, but if the large transmission line on our side goes bad, would Solon be able to come back against us? The likeliness of a 24-inch main breaking and creating much more extensive damage would be large.
Did the 24-inch, we had some really big floods a few years ago, breaks. Were those always on the Solon side?
Those were always on the 12-inch side. And, the other thing that ties into this as well is the sanitary main is on Solon side, but we share a pump station down by the underpass there that serves both Solon and Orange Village. And, You know, the one that happened years ago in front of Miles Market got into that system and flooded out the pump station as well. We were fortunate enough that it didn't happen this time, but there's a lot of things involved here, and I think it's going to require a little more conversation with Cleveland Water and our staff within, and figure out how we proceed and what can be done to, you know, correct these problems and try and prevent it in the future.
I think there's an overarching issue that we ought to engage the county's Director of Regional Collaboration. I think this is where that cross-border discussions have to happen in order for communities to be successful and to avoid problems and to work together toward solving the situations that do arise. And that's the role that that office has. I believe it would be appropriate for us to do that.
That's fine, and coincidentally, the new Director of Regional Planning is coming here next Tuesday at noon. I'm going to meet with her. I wouldn't have thought of, bringing this up, but I will, but really, I think I need to sit down and talk with Mayor Kraus after we know what the Cleveland Water Department is going to do before we bring in county referees.
I'm not saying that just particularly for this issue, but other issues that come up.
It's all the time. This goes on all the time with things when one community belongs and the other doesn't, and this is par for the course. But we haven't gotten stuck yet. We've been reimbursed.
Well, except for the one.
No. Which one? No, well, a few months ago.
Timing issue, that's
Yeah.
not yet been paid.
Right.
Okay, all right.
That's the first one we're watching.
But ultimately, at the end, though, we do need to move forward because our road is closed, so we're going to have to get this road fixed and move forward and figure out how, the final process of whose responsibility will be.
Any other comments? If you'd call roll, please. Thank you.
Barron,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Luter,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to audience comments relating to agenda items only. Anyone? All right. Moving on to old business pending legislation motions. So you can see ordinance 2018-28 was withdrawn. Moving on to ordinance 2018-29. Motion's passed. Ordinance 2018-29. Ordinance. I'll still read the ordinance. Ordinance 2018-29, ordinance granting certain variances to Dennis P. and Kathy M. Gritton for an accessory building to be located at 31599 Miles Road, Orange Village. This is on for third reading. Public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt the conclusions of fact? Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. If you'd call roll, please.
Barron,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Braverman, Klein,
Yes.
Luter. Yes. Harry,
Yes.
Duber.
And can I have a motion to pass ordinance 2018-29?
Motion made.
Is there a second? Any other comments? If you call roll, please.
Barron, Bilski,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Luter,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village. Anyone? Okay. Committee reports and comments by council members. Mrs. Perry.
I just want to thank the mayor and the staff for a wonderful salute to Orange. It was very hot, and we still had a decent turnout.
You know what? The officer who was in charge of parking estimated over 1,000 cars. That's not just a decent turnout, that's huge.
It was huge. It is huge. Anyways, it was a success from, in my eyes, and my grandchildren loved it. They said it was the best ever, so there you have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Braverman?
Wanted to comment about the salute, which
I thought it was the largest, and I think one of the reasons it was the largest, and I want...
We're honoring you.
No, but we'll get to that. But high school band and the marching ladies came. And of course, their parents came and their siblings came, and most of them stayed pretty well through the evening, and that added so much to the... First of all, the performance was terrific, and then it added to the fact that they were going to be with us for the rest of the music and the fireworks and so forth. But I do want to take a moment to thank Anna for the preparation of the salute, and in particular, 10 heroes of the village were saluted that evening. A couple of them were actually in the room. And I just want to thank her. She prepared these very lovely, camera up there? No. Very lovely signs for the 10 heroes from Orange Village who are veterans of foreign climes on behalf of the U.S. And I just want to say that my grandson has dibs on this, so anybody interested in a copy will have to see me later, and we'll talk about the cost. But thank you for doing that, because I think it was a very touching thing to take place.
Thank you. Next Friday, I'm meeting with the new superintendent, Dr. Campbell. I'm wearing a lot of different hats, a parent hat, council hat, and coach hat. If anybody has any issues they would like me to discuss with him, please let me know. I met him in passing at open house last week at Brady, and he's a very...
Wearing at this meeting?
All of them. All of my kids' sports that I coach, and the fields are not maintained very well there, so that's one of my items to review with him. But if anybody has any issues they'd like me to discuss.
Appointment with him.
Okay. He's a very approachable gentleman and very impressive. I have a few other items here. Do we have any update on the meters at Pinecrest?
Meeting scheduled towards the end of September due to people's travel schedules. Couldn't do it sooner.
October.
Beginning of October.
Okay. Several months ago, I raised the question about solicitors, and at that point, I was told only religious solicitors were allowed in the village. And last Thursday night, a window company came knocking at my door. I called police dispatch. They checked into it. They called back to say that this was a registered company within the village, and I'm confused. I understand being registered to actually do work in the village, but to solicit?
If you're going to solicit, you have to get permission from the police department. You have to register. If somebody's coming around to sell windows or sell magazines, we had at one time introduced to council an ordinance called Do Not Knock, which would have allowed us to keep a list of residents that don't want to be bothered and give it to those vendors. Not pass for a lot of concerns that were raised, but what you can do and your neighbors is you can put up on your door, no solicitation. Therefore, if they come to your house and you have a sign there, they're trespassing, then you can call us. But yeah, people are allowed to register to vend.
And let me just add that NOPEC has...
I don't think we're a part of it.
Yeah, no, yeah, but the solution we came up with, because I have a lot of residents that are upset about this a lot of times, and if they are registered, they're allowed to do it, and if you don't want them, am I right?
That's right.
Okay, so just put this no solicitation, and then they're in violation of a law.
Okay. The other question is for the chief. No less than 3 or 4 times in the last month, I've witnessed some traffic issues on Harvard, getting off of 271 northbound, getting in and out of Pinecrest.
This really goes back to Bob. We don't have the lights connected yet.
Okay.
Hang in there. We're working on it.
And do we have any timing? This was before Whole Foods opened up, so I'm kind of concerned.
You're meeting with them Friday?
It's been changed to Tuesday. Myself, village engineer, and the 2 developers, the one on the south and one on the north side, are meeting to figure out where they're at with things and try and get some answers.
Okay.
You have to hook up to Beechwood, which is another process.
There were times where people were getting off of 271 and then entirely blocking from there into Pinecrest, and nobody traveling east on Harvard could get through. So, in terms of the trails, do we have an update as to the timing?
We are at the stage where they've been granted the contract. We asked for a plan from them as to how they're going to maintain traffic during the construction period and a schedule. We just recently, maybe at the end of last week, got their traffic maintenance plan. We're not all comfortable with it yet, so there's going to be some more negotiating and talking. They should be starting this month.
We were told in the pre-con that they were 3-4 weeks out from starting tree removal, so part of our, my comments back to the engineer
So I assume will be posted on the village website once we have something more concrete, or?
We have something concrete, we draft a letter and send it to all the residents who are affected, telling them what to, I mean, we can put, in the next newsletter, we can put something out generally for everybody, but the actual houses and streets that are going to be affected will get a very detailed, lengthy letter of what to expect.
And then the other thing, I guess this is a Bob question, as far as trash, I know a lot of communities have altered their recycling programs, and in some...
Thanks, Scott. That's another thing we're going to be writing about in the next newsletter. It's a big deal. We just got a letter from the county yesterday with, yeah, the rules are changing.
And is there ever a point where in some communities you can actually get cited for what you put in your recycle bin or what you don't? Is that anything that's going to affect us?
Considered that, but what's happening is that, and maybe Bob, you should talk, there's less and less of a market because all the recycling's been contaminated and China doesn't want it anymore. So fewer things are going to be allowed. If our residents don't comply and people don't follow it, recycling might just be a thing of the past. Naughty boy.
It's something called the China sword, and China is the biggest purchaser of recycling. The problem from America is we been sending over contaminated recyclables, and we basically said that they're not coming around to the world anymore. So it's drastically changing. Some of the contractors that have contracts with villages and cities have already approached some of them about renegotiating contract rates and stuff like that. They're talking about doing surcharges and sorting fees and different things there. We have not been approached, but it is a ever-moving target right now, and it's taken on a sort of a global concern economically. So yes, we are following it. Literature is coming out. We will probably very soon, near future, really have to put out some publicity about how we need to comply with our recycling and stuff like that. And it very well might see numbers coming out of recycling going into trash, which is going to be a little more costly to the village as well, because our savings is not paying for waste disposal for recyclables. So it's another moving target we're trying to stay on top of.
Did you ever confirm, because you and I were talking about this, are we in the third year of a 5-year contract?
We go till 2020, I believe.
I mean, for sure it's going to hit us on the next cycle. We're getting the information. Bob went to a seminar on it. Anna's got information to put on the website and to send out in the newsletter, and yeah, stay tuned.
And then once again, I just want to reiterate, thank you to Anna and everybody who helped with the planning over the weekend. It was a great event. Thank you to Mr. Barron for leaving, so it freed up a parking spot by the service department. Otherwise, I was going to have to schlep out to Pike Drive because there were so many cars there, which was a good problem to have. So,
Thank you. Mr. Klein?
A couple things. First of all, I just want to report that the Planning Commission met on Tuesday, August 21st, had an agenda that included one of the items that was originally on the consideration for public hearing tonight, which was ordinance 2018. After we met with the homeowner's representative previously, we were able to resolve an issue with them so they would be able to move forward without requiring a variance, and they were able to come back in and get the plans approved and move forward quickly on the project as a result. So I want to thank the Planning Commission for their effort in working through with a homeowner to enable them to move their project more quickly to the forefront. The other things were some new houses and landscaping and additions, nothing really earth-shattering in that group, but I just did want to mention that one item. Again, the salute to Orange, you may have missed me, I blew through there, but I did want to remark, and first of all, I wanted to thank all of those who participated in creating it. It's just a wonderful event for the community, and I particularly wanted to express my appreciation for the recognition of our hometown heroes and those in our community who have served in our armed forces. We don't provide enough opportunity to say thank you to them for the service that they have given for our country and our community, and it was wonderful that Orange chose that event to make it very public who those people are and the contribution that they have made to our country.
I would just add, I was a senior member of that group, and I had suggested that we do some close order drill to demonstrate how that works, but nobody wanted to.
Samuels is older than you.
With the 4 branches of the services being represented, I can't imagine that you'd get them coordinated to do that.
And did.
I did want to mention, I had a meeting yesterday with Michelle Pomerantz, the new Director of Regional Collaboration, and while it had nothing to do with the issue that was raised this evening, we do have, and now have a pretty good rapport with her, and I'd love to be able to take advantage of that for our community and bring her into our circle. So I know you're meeting with her, and hopefully we'll continue to expand on that.
Talk, because I'll have to be advised as to what it is you think they can do for us.
I've got some of...
The merger study.
No. It had nothing to do with that. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kluter.
I had an episode at home about 3 weeks ago. I had a threatening voicemail, and I have never, I don't think, in over 20 years, had to call the police in for anything. It was very scary. It was a male voice, and it was on my cell phone, and I sort of ignore it when it keeps on going off and off, but I eventually picked it up. Didn't identify a name, but there was a number. And he threatened me that I was doing something to upset his family, and he was going to come and get me, and I had no idea what this was all about. So I thought maybe it would be a good idea to call the police. They were phenomenal. You have a phenomenal, really, we're very, very lucky. A rookie policeman was at my house, all fresh-faced and shiny within minutes, and then Damian Davis, he sort of took over. And I cannot tell you how reassuring it was. They tracked the family down, as far as I know, because there was an actual number, and it came from Fresno. But as Damian explained to me, it could be Fresno, California. It could be anywhere. It could be if you have a card. I'm grateful that it was nipped in the bud. I haven't had any more phone calls. It was a relief. But there are other people, it seems to be scamming older people, people who are scamming them for bugs in their computers. One person I knew bought into it, and the person showed up at the house and gave money, and I was appalled. So I think if we can get something out in the newsletter to be aware about all these scams that are going on again, to reassure us that, the Orange Village is cognizant of these things. But thank you, police force, you're wonderful, you really are. When it happened to me personally, I was so impressed, minutes. You stole my thunder, Mister. How dare you do that? I got a whole article on recycling and the plastic problem. And I've been reading that there are other communities where they're asking restaurants to not serve minimally plastic straws, and when they could go paper. And as we've now got Pinecrest up and running with restaurants, maybe we could start there in a very small way. I know you said you're going to do something about doing something with recycling, but I read this article in the New York Times, and it says, just because you throw things away doesn't mean to say that it's all going to be recycled. Years and years ago, I was on the recycling program, and I went to the waste management, and they had pickers in Glen Willow, where these people were hired, and we watched it come off a conveyor, and they literally picked things off. I don't know what we're doing, but I do see some interesting things that are put out for recycling, and I'm not sure it's recycling. It looks like different things.
Did a little education.
That's a good thing, because we all need to save the planet for our kids and our grandchildren and so on and so forth.
There's a wonderful facility over in Oberlin that we designed that is...
Really, can I just share one one thing. My daughter traveled to Montreal for business a couple months ago, and she said that they have a zero waste policy in the city. And so she was saying that when she went to the office where she was doing work for that week, everybody at work at that company brought in a empty Tupperware container, and when they went out to lunch, they ordered their lunch, and it was placed into their Tupperware container, and they brought their own forks and spoons, and they just washed it at the office.
Which I did about, God knows how many years ago. Yeah, this is where we're going.
I think that there is a movement, we'll start seeing it, because it's in other places, where we'll start, if we're not recycling plastics, we have to.
It's the plastic bottles that are they don't destroy. So, yeah.
Plastic.
I've been in restaurants lately where they've given you, like, steel, like washable straws.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, yeah. Or paper straws, but no more cut back on in plastic. It's very bad. To say nothing of everything else that goes into recycling, so they think. I had a call from my neighbors who've lived on the street a long, long time, not the Neros. They want to know what's going on with the Red House. And the Red House, I noticed they took the gas out and the electric out. Now what? Because it was supposed to be down already.
Yeah, it is.
What is?
Ask Bob if he has an update on the schedule. Not Bob Zogan, Bob McLaughlin.
But I'm going around and around, and I don't know.
Were we somewhere where he was at? And I asked him recently.
I was told to ask.
No, and I've told you.
And I passed the information on, but it's sitting there.
Update.
We need some legislation, please, we need legislation on the books for, if we don't have it already, a derelict, deteriorating property that has just died the death, being sort of hanging out for 10 years, no electricity now, no gas, and it's really rotting out. The service department cut the lawn maybe about a month ago, left the bill in the mailbox, or the pseudo mailbox, which blew around, which I picked up and put back in, and I have no idea what's going on. Nobody cares.
Going on to this point is the fact that we have communication with the owner who lives in Moreland Hills.
I know.
And he has represented that he's doing it. We've just been working cooperatively with him. If, I suppose, this window of opportunity goes by and he hasn't taken it down, we're going to have to start the legal process of condemnation, and that's going to take time. But we haven't started that yet because we're still working cooperatively with
somebody. How can you cooperate with somebody who's not cooperating? Obviously. It doesn't make sense. But it's a blight.
From the standpoint that he has been in communication, he has called back. We knew he had the demolition scheduled, and then he had to do the asbestos thing. And he told us that the asbestos report came, that it's not a problem, he can take it down. That's the last thing I've heard. So,
just tell me, are there other homes in the village that are that sort of, in derelict condition like this? Okay, then where are we moving with this?
We are, to use the tools that we have.
And what are the tools exactly? Because I'm very frustrated with this, I can tell you.
The tool that the village uses in these circumstances is Chapter 1331 of the codified ordinances, which prohibits a condition which is detrimental to neighboring properties. They still need to get notice. They still have an opportunity to be heard on what, the order is. As I understand it right now, we've been working informally, and the
owner?
We always try to do that to avoid additional legal costs, forcing somebody to do something. The village has taken houses down before.
Was it the Thresh House on Pinecrest?
In a couple different places.
No, ones that we've had to condemn.
Right. And so we do know how to do that. This house, from the exterior, is nowhere near as bad as those were, I think.
It's
gotten bad.
It's gotten bad.
Very, very.
As that happens, the priority rises.
I'll take pictures next time.
We're working it, we're working it.
The patience comes to an end, and we give the order to condemn, and if they don't do it, we can do it and assess it back against the cost of it against the property.
Okay.
I'm more wondering when the Super 8 is going to be taking down the building. You know, there's a lot of...
Yes, I drove past it. When is that going down?
They were supposed to already. I don't know. They were supposed to take down the Beechwood Inn sign and put up a Village Inn. We nag them. Good. There's a lot of these situations that go on that get resolved. These tougher ones are obviously sticking your craw, and, you know, they take a lot of time and effort. But what I wanted to say, it'll come back to me, pause the tape. But Tom goes out and he does these citations, and this week alone, I have 2 appeals that people don't want to do what they were cited to do. So we're always in the
What do I tell somebody who's lived on my street over 50 years who's really distressed? And it's not the Neros.
That we're doing everything we legally can. Well, we're doing everything we can now to get cooperation from the owner, and maybe he's dragging us along, maybe he's leading us on.
Well, I think the fact...
Spring, we'll be in the adversarial mode.
Aren't you giving him a deadline?
that they have disconnected the utilities.
Is that a good sign?
Yes, it's anticipation of taking down the house.
Okay, because I asked them, I said, what are you doing?
That is a step in the right direction.
Okay. I will keep on talking about this until when it's down, we will have a party. A Red House demolition party. What was the other thing I have to talk about? Oh, yes, thank you for the visual, wherever the visual is going. It took me many years, thank you, to get this done. I'm really pleased, because I think we need to be as transparent as we can and how we govern ourselves, so that's a good thing. And we're coming up to the Jewish holidays, and I wish everybody aboard a happy and healthy new year, and for everybody else, let's hope it's a good and wonderful fall. Less hot, please. Oh, thank you for the air conditioning that's somehow running tonight. I was going to bring a fan. I offered to bring one.
It's on my report.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yep. Mr. Zugan, you have a...
Can I have one comment, just for the record, that the service department doesn't drop bills in the mailboxes. There's a process that happens. We go cut the grass, it goes back to the building department, then the bill is sent to the resident, and if it's not paid, further down the road, it goes on their tax duplicate to get.
Oh, yeah.
We do not drop.
Oh, no, well, something, it said
There
build.
would be a notice from the building department.
I thought-
because
I
they
didn't-
don't have a mailbox to go to or a post.
It was a
office.
plain dealer kind of old box, and they stuffed it in there, but I've just picked it up.
Yeah, well, it was nothing from the service department. We go cut the grass, and our process is all internal.
Wonder where that bill came from then? $250?
That's probably it, but I don't know who, it wasn't the service department.
And the mailman.
No, I said, that was interesting, because I thought I was being very accommodating picking up the bill.
Any other comments? Okay. Mayor, comments?
We had our first community-wide garage sale 2 weeks ago, maybe. How'd it go, Herb?
The garage sale, I consider it a complete success.
And-
The bread maker was sold, and I consider that a...
He sold a bread maker for $7.
That was the first time.
People participated.
13, Anna? Was it 13 or 15?
21.
Huh? 21?
21 people.
Well, we didn't go to all 21 houses. I went to most of them, but not all of them.
Did
But-
you?
Yeah, and then Anna did a follow-up with the people and did a survey, and it was well-received, and it's probably something we're going to do again.
Oh.
About the bread maker. You bought the bread maker?
You brought the bread maker?
No, I had one I gave to Jason Marvin years ago. Loot was great, mostly because of Anna and Bob, who do all the hard work and the planning and the cleaning up and everything. And the fire guys helped a lot. Thank you. Chief Wilson stayed home from a trip because he didn't want to miss it. And I think it went good on the police end, too. We have been struck by lightning at this building twice. The second time, the first time was almost handled through insurance, and before we got the repairs done, we got the second lightning strike. Do you want to just give a little description about it for them? Is it all?
Happened yesterday afternoon. We're still investigating. We have a number of IT items in the police department, radios, overhead speaker systems. We had some network stuff that went down, some smaller little peripheral items like printers and stuff like that. It also hits our fire alarm system, but we had a scheduled panel upgrade, which was started today. They are still looking at peripheral damage. We know, in fact, factually, that the Annunciator panel next door is damaged, and then we have some significant problems, it appears, with the HVAC system communicating with it. So everything's in bypass right now, and we basically don't have control of dampers and stuff. So it is still early. We are still trying to navigate through and troubleshoot everything and come up with cost and repairs. We will apply to insurance. They have been put on notice as well. And as we gather information quotes, we'll be moving forward and see what happens there. So I've got a number of calls out to First Energy to see if there's something that can be done on their side that would protect our building. Just a reminder, our building has a lightning system. You know, we've got towers there. There's a number of items that can be drawing to us. It could be just unfortunate luck, but we're working on it. So.
And poor Bob had to come in on Saturday because the fire department flooded because the backflow preventer shorted.
Backflow preventer let go somewhere along the lines with the water main break on Miles Road, which caused problems in the fire station as well. So it's been a great couple of weeks.
They should start working a little harder, you know? Right, anyways, Mayor, any other comments?
That was a bigger statement.
The last comment I have is public service announcement. This Saturday, Pinecrest is having their summer send-off from 4 to 9. They have some big-time rock and roll groups and fireworks.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also Arabella.
I do not have any comments, so we will adjourn. Thank you, good night.
Thank you and good night. Mrs. Calabash, wherever.